Hello there, I'm Muhammed, I'm Hamdan, and this is Nightline, and here are the top stories. Malaysia secures 32.8 billion ringgit in potential investments from South Korea's conglomerates. And number of foreign workers in the country yet to reach ceiling set. Good morning. We'll begin with this headlining story. Malaysia has secured 32.8 billion ringgit in potential investments from South Korea's conglomerates, including chaebols, as well as several prominent companies from the Republic. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said his working visit to the country not only generated high-impact investment prospects, but also immediate exports from Malaysia amounting to 1.3 billion ringgit.
Beberapa usul kita tentang sama ada yang antarabangsa, pelaburan, kerjasama bidang pendidikan, ekonomi itu nampak diberikan dukungan kuat oleh kerajaan Korea. Kemudian kerana dukungan kerajaan, maka penyertaan syarikat-syarikat itu besar sekali yang hadir, dan kita lihat umpamanya perjumpaan dia bukan saja jumpa tapi dengar, dapat dia jaminan terus bagi komitmen untuk pelaburan.
Anwar said this to the Malaysian media after concluding his three-day official visit to South Korea at the invitation of President Yoon Suk Yeol on Tuesday. Earlier, the Prime Minister held closed-door meetings with representatives of South Korea's chaebols, which are large family-owned conglomerates, as well as several major corporations including Hyundai Motor, Samsung Group, SK Nexelis, POSCO Group, OCI Holdings and Lotte International. These meetings were part of the government's initiative to attract more foreign direct investment (FDI) into Malaysia. The potential investments generated were in sectors such as electric vehicles (EVs), EV-related metals, biopharmaceuticals, green technology, carbon capture and storage, and green hydrogen. Anwar, who is also the finance minister, added that the halal industry would also be a key focus for both countries moving forward.
Menarik kerana barang halal itu diterima baik bukan sahaja oleh orang Islam di Korea tapi juga orang rakyat Korea secara umum. Sebab itu jumlah ekspor itu sampai mencecah 5 bilion ringgit.
Anwar also noted that his visit had further enhanced bilateral relations between the two countries. In 2023, South Korea ranked as Malaysia's 8th largest trading partner, with trade valued at 111.07 billion ringgit. Currently, about 400 South Korean companies operate in Malaysia across various sectors, including construction. Next year, both countries will celebrate the 65th anniversary of their diplomatic relations. Meanwhile, Anwar also dismissed the allegations made by Kedah Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Muhammad Sanusi Matno regarding a plot to undermine private investments in the state. The Prime Minister also highlighted that the investment by automotive giant Hyundai Motor as evidence of Putrajaya's support for the state.
Walaupun dia kata itu, tapi saya masih sokong Hyundai untuk labur. Dia ada pilihan beberapa tempat. Tapi kerana beberapa infrastruktur sudah sediakan, dan dia juga akan menyalurkan untuk ekspor melalui pelabuhan dan Pulau Pinang dan juga lapangan terbang Pulau Pinang. Maka kita cadang di Kulim dan mereka setuju. Jadi saya pun ejen Kedah juga.
On Tuesday, following a meeting with Anwar in South Korea, Hyundai Motor announced an investment of 2.16 billion ringgit in Malaysia over the next 5 years, starting in 2025. The company plans to carry out local vehicle assembly, including electric vehicle (EV) models in Kulim, and will produce premium and luxury models targeted for the ASEAN market. The number of foreign workers in the country has yet to reach the ceiling set by the Economy Ministry at 2.58 million. Home Minister Datuk Seri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail told the Dewan Rakyat on Tuesday that Malaysia still had about 400,000 spots left in the foreign worker intake quota.
Sektor 3D itu 2.5 juta ni, yang defisit 400,000 ni, yang itu isu yang kita kena address secara dasar. Dia bukan piecemeal yang berhormat. Kalau kita bekukan sekarang, buah sawit tak boleh dipetik, Tak petik buah sawit, kerugian negara 28 bilion setahun.
Saifuddin stated that there are two categories of foreign workers: low-skilled workers, such as those involved in harvesting palm oil fruit, bricklaying or the manufacturing sector, and expatriates who represent almost 1% or 120,183 of the 17.2 million target workforce. According to the Malaysia Productivity Corporation, expatriates in Malaysia make a significant economic contribution with an estimated impact of 75 billion ringgit, which accounts for 4.8% of the country's total gross domestic product (GDP). In another development, Saifuddin said 55 cases of drones being used to smuggle drugs into prisons have been recorded this year. However, the Home Minister said that all these attempts were successfully detected and foiled by authorities.
Tahun ini saja 55 kes. Yang paling serius adalah di penjara Tapah, yang kedua di penjara Alostar. Itu paling serius ni. Dia drop dadah pakai drone. Jadi kita kena ada anti-drone. Kita ada pasukan penembak untuk musnahkan drone.
Saifuddin stated that the use of drones emerged after the prison's standard operating procedures (SOPs) were tightened. He added there are three key actors involved in the smuggling of drugs into detention centres: the staff or officers of the relevant agencies, the public or family members who visit inmates, and the detainees themselves, who may attempt to smuggle drugs when they are taken out for hospital visits or court hearings. To address this, he said strengthened measures had been put in place to tighten security and prevent smuggling. The abolishment of exams and exam-oriented learning in school aims to reduce academic stress among students. Education Minister Fadlina Siddiq told the Dewan Rakyat that her ministry is adopting an approach where the focus of learning in schools will be based on inquiry, exploration, experience, context, and assessments that take into account the holistic development of students. The minister said the classroom assessment will provide a better benchmark, especially for evaluating children more holistically, involving classroom assessments, physical education, sports, curriculum, as well as psychometrics and student tendencies.
Anak-anak ini akan diberikan pengalaman pembelajaran berkaitan dengan konten dan pengalaman dalam pembelajaran dan bukan lagi untuk peperiksaan semata-mata yang berhormat. Pentaksiran bilik darjah ini akan memberikan satu tanda aras yang lebih baik, khususnya melihat dan menilai anak-anak kita dengan lebih holistik.
She also stressed that the new approach aims to shift away from an exam-focused system and reduce stress on students, adding that it would offer a much more engaging learning ecosystem. Earlier, Fadlina said her ministry prioritizes the welfare and well-being of students, including their psychosocial and mental health. Several initiatives have been implemented to identify students who are suffering from emotional disturbance issues. For students identified with severe or very severe levels of depression, the school will hold a consultation session with the parents or guardians before referring the student to a medical specialist for the necessary treatment. And also at the August House, the Plantation and Commodities Ministry is considering several tax incentives to attract investors into Malaysia to build a production hub for sustainable aviation fuel, SAF. Its Minister Datuk Seri Johari Abdul Ghani said that Malaysia, as the world's second largest palm oil producer, is in a strategic position to become a leading global SAF producer. Johari said it can leverage raw materials referring to feedstock, including empty fruit bunches, palm oil meal effluent, animal fat, microalgae, and used cooking oil to produce SAF.
Tapi setiap penerbangan, kapal terbang ini boleh mengambil capacity up to 46% ataupun 47% minyak campuran daripada biofuel ini. Tetapi dalam negara kita ini, mana-mana kelebihan daripada kapasiti ini kita akan ekspor kepada negara-negara yang tidak ada kebolehan untuk membuat minyak SAF ini ataupun SAF ini.
The minister said in line with the Malaysia Aviation Decarbonisation Blueprint, his ministry, in collaboration with the Investment, Trade and Industry Ministry, is working to develop a document on a national strategy for SAF to support Malaysia's SAF production and consumption industries. He added that Malaysia is expected to start producing SAF in 2027, with capacity to rise in stages depending on plant capacity and raw materials availability. This initiative is in line with Malaysia's agenda to become Southeast Asia's main SAF producer. A 53-year-old pastor was charged at the Kuala Lumpur Magistrates Court with murdering his mother, Catherine Daniel, before putting her body in a freezer at their home in Taman OUG. And Dinesh, who appeared in court in a wheelchair, acknowledged the charge under the penal code when it was read out to him. No plea was recorded, as the matter will be transferred to the High Court. The charge carries a potential death sentence or imprisonment of up to 40 years, along with at least 12 strokes of the cane. The 77-year-old woman's body was discovered on November 12th after Dinesh called the police to surrender. The court denied bail and scheduled case mention on February 7th for the submission of forensic, autopsy and chemist reports. Kuala Lumpur Police Chief Datuk Rusdi Muhammad Issa previously said Dinesh had confessed to murdering his mother in 2021 and that he did so to send her to heaven. The woman was believed to have been punched to death before her body was wrapped in a towel and plastic sheets and stuffed in a freezer. In Johor, a 34-year-old foreman was charged at the Johor Bahru Magistrates Court for driving under the influence and causing the death of a married couple. As Nageshwaran pleaded not guilty to the two separate charges read before Magistrate Nur Farhana Muhammad Ishaq on Tuesday. The accused was first charged with causing the death of Linda Muhammad A. Aziz at an intersection of Jalan Besar and Jalan Masjid at about 4:15 a.m. on November 16th. He was separately charged in the same court with causing the death of Linda's husband, Muhammad Rizwan Muhammad Rudi, at the same time and place. Nageshwaran was accused of driving a car with a blood alcohol content which exceeded the limit. He was charged under the Road Transport Act 1987 and faces a maximum prison term of 15 years and a fine of up to 100,000 ringgit if found guilty. Magistrate Nur Farhana set bail at 6,000 ringgit with one surety for each charge. The court also ordered for the suspension of the accused's driving license, report to the Johor Jaya police station twice a month and surrender his passport. The court set January 14th next year for next mention and submission of documents. It was reported that the couple, a 37-year-old man and his 35-year-old pillion rider, sustained severe injuries. They were pronounced dead at the scene. Moving on, a senior citizen and a trader were killed in a crash involving a car, a pickup truck and a multi-purpose vehicle MPV in Pekan Pahang on Tuesday. The 11 a.m. incident occurred at Jalan Pekan Kuantan near Kampung Mat Dulang. The two victims were identified as 71-year-old Raja Mustafa Shah Raja Jalil Shah, who was driving the car, and 35-year-old Azwan Zainal Abidin, the driver of the pickup truck. Both died while receiving treatment at the Pekan Hospital. Police said the accident occurred when the pickup truck suddenly lost control, swerved into the opposite lane and collided with the car. The MPV, which was trailing behind the car, then struck the rear of the vehicle. The driver of the MPV, however, escaped unharmed. The case is being investigated under the Road Transport Act. Telekom Malaysia Berhad's existing 5G access offerings to customers will not be affected despite the failure to secure a stake in Digital Nasional Berhad DNB. Digital Minister Gobind Singh Dio told the Dewan Rakyat that this is because the access agreement between DNB and TM, signed on October 30th, 2022, remains in effect, regardless of the status of the share subscription of the national 5G network owner.
Penamatan SSA di antara DNB dan TM tidak sama sekali menjejaskan penawaran akses 5G sedia ada oleh pihak Telekom Malaysia. Perjanjian akses di antara DNB dan Telekom Malaysia yang dimeteraikan pada 30 hari bulan Oktober 2022 juga masih terpakai.
Earlier in August, DNB announced that TM's SSA to purchase a stake in DNB had been terminated as the group failed to meet the deadline to finalize the agreement to acquire a stake in the wholesale 5G network. Meanwhile, the government, through the Minister of Finance Incorporated, retains approximately 34.9% equity and special shares in DNB. On Tuesday, Gobin emphasized that including mobile network operators in DNB is a key step in transitioning Malaysia to a dual 5G network model. Malaysia's digital economy is poised to reach $31 billion in gross merchandise value (GMV) in 2024, an increase of 16% from 2023, according to the latest Economy Southeast Asia C 2024 by Google. The country's digital economy has progressed towards profitability while maintaining double-digit growth for GMV.
I think 50% of investment in Southeast Asia for AI are really happening in Malaysia. So I think it's such a strong story to be able to say Malaysia is, again, as far as AI is concerned, one of the top countries in the world.
According to the report, Malaysia's digital economy has charted consistent growth, and this year was another strong testament of the potential of Malaysia's digital economy. With the region's focus on artificial intelligence, it is encouraging to see the country's leaders putting AI and semiconductors in the country's priority list. US President-elect Donald Trump has pledged a 25% tariff on goods from Mexico and Canada, plus an additional 10% on Chinese products, in response to irregular border crossings and drug trafficking. Trump vowed to impose tariffs on Mexican and Canadian imports from day one of his administration until the invasion of migrants and drugs ended, while also imposing a 10% tariff on China until the country takes action to stop fentanyl smuggling. Trump's proposals would have enormous ramifications for international trade, as numerous economies have warned that Trump's proposals for broad-based tariffs would raise the cost of everyday items in the US and dampen global growth. JDT humbled by Shandong Taishan. Sports after this breather.
Sepucuk nota ditinggalkan mangsa kes samun dan bunuh di Kampung Batu Papan, Gua Musang, Kelantan semalam.
Adakah mahkamah menerima dying declaration itu daripada sudut undang-undang?
Nyawa balas nyawa. Nah, saya tengok betapa tragisnya kanak-kanak bila melihat sendiri kejadian yang boleh menyebabkan ibu kesayangan mereka meninggal.
Tiga suspek ini adalah ahli dalam satu kumpulan haram yang bergiat aktif di KL dan juga Selangor.
Tapi tuan-tuan, siapa kumpulan haram ni sebenarnya?
Polis, korang! Saya telefon awak tak jawab. Saya nak cakap pasal anak kita.
Polis Peronda setiap Jumaat 10 malam di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Mereka aku bilang! Jangan pulang ke rumah kalau nggak dapat duit!
Masa awal memberikan memberikan musibah lebih dari hal yang saya bisa tanggung.
Walaupun nenek tidak ada di dekat Keisha, tapi Al-Quran ini selalu bersama Keisha. Ibu ikhlas dan ridho demi kebahagiaan kamu, nak.
Hamamu ingin melakukan kegiatan sedekah palsu dan semata-mata untuk berobat ibuku.
Sama-sama refleksi diri di slot Naluri setiap Jumaat 3 petang di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
A woman's spirit is boundless. So grab your coffee cups and wear your sassiest smile. Because this season, we're louder than ever. We talk career, health, finance, relationships, and everything in between. Women's Talk is here to empower and inspire you. Join us on Women's Talk every Saturday, 5 p.m. only on TV3 and stream now on Tonton.
Sports now. Diving, the 2024 World Junior Championships. Nur Qayyum Nazmi Nazim won Malaysia's first medal at the tournament in 18 years after bagging a bronze in the boys' 3-meter springboard on Tuesday morning. Nur Qayyum posted an impressive 5-dive total of 506.75 points, becoming the first Malaysian to win a medal at the World Juniors since Elizabeth Jimmy and Malaysia Aquatics Diving Technical Director Brian Nixon Lomas in 2006 in Kuala Lumpur. Nur Qayyum qualified for the final after finishing second with a 10-dive total of 479.3 points, while teammate Yong Rui Jie qualified in 6th place with 458.4 points and eventually finished 10th in the 12-man final with 440.3 points. And on to football, the 2024 Asian Champions League Elite. Malaysian football giants Johor Darul Takzim JDT FC suffered their second defeat after going down 1-0 to Shandong Taishan in China on Tuesday night. The match was all on JDT's favour as they had the most possession and 8 shots on target compared to Shandong's 1. The 1 shot on target by Shandong was the only goal of the match, which came in the 68th minute after substitute Zika converted a brilliant through ball by Kryzen, giving the home side the crucial victory. With the defeat, JDT are now in 5th place with 7 points and they will face Buriram United next Tuesday. In another match, Cristiano Ronaldo once again proved his mettle as he scored 2 pivotal goals to guide Al Nassr to a commanding 3-1 victory over Al Gharafa in their Group B match. After a frustrating first half, the Portuguese made his mark just a minute into the second half as he headed home the opener to give the visitors the lead. Angelo Gabriel then showcased his skills by rounding the goalkeeper before slotting in the second goal just 12 minutes later. Ronaldo added his second of the night in the 64th minute as he stayed composed in the box and finessed his shot into the net. The home side got themselves a consolation goal in the 75th minute through former Real Madrid's Jose Lu for a 3-1 final scoreline. With the victory, Al Nassr kept their second spot with 13 points, 2 points behind leaders Al Ahly. India records largest drug bust. The details when Nightline returns.
Topik menarik di MHI minggu ini
bertemakan kasih keluarga jiwa madani. Jom raikan bulan keluarga kebangsaan.
Suka habiskan masa di dalam tandas? Awas, mungkin membawa kesan buruk kepada kesihatan.
Oh, cuaca sekarang memang tak menentulah. Kena sentiasa cakna tentang amaran ribut kencang dan banjir.
Kahwin di usia yang muda? Sesuatu yang wajar atau sebaliknya?
Jaga-jaga dengan pinjaman tunai segera, anda mungkin terpedaya.
Jangan lupa MHI Isnin hingga Jumaat jam 10 pagi.
Di TV3 juga stream ditonton.
Wanita hari ini.
Setiap daripada kita ingin bahagia.
Izinkan kita bahagia dengan cara sendiri.
Apakah menu yang dapat mengembalikan nostalgia?
Menu jalanan antaranya mi goreng, rojak dan macam-macam lagi.
Tidak semua orang mendapat peluang kedua.
Tapi kalau diberi peluang kedua, apa kenangan yang ingin anda cipta?
Menopause antara perkara yang menjadi kebimbangan dalam kalangan wanita.
Adakah ia permulaan atau pengakhiran?
Fiza, komunikasi dapat membaiki hubungan.
Tapi kadang-kadang pasangan susah nak buat bincang.
Semuanya di WHI TV3
dan TV
Nenek nak kahwinkan air dengan perempuan belagak dia tu ni. Along tak setuju.
Dia akan kahwin dengan mursyid.
Kalau
Dia tak happy dengan Aid macam mana?
Betul ke Aid tu ikhlas?
Memang nampak baik dalam hancur. Kalaulah bangkai tu ditanam dalam, bau busuk tu keluar juga.
Dia Kashrani setiap Isnin hingga Jumaat 7 malam di Akasia TV3.
Kita dalam satu pertandingan tu, tapi kakak bahagian dewasa, saya bahagian kanak-kanak.
Semua pertandingan saya masuk. Sampai orang tak nak saya masuk.
Saya asyik muka dia ni. Lepas tu menang pula tu. Kat sini kita nak mengakrabkan balik hubungan kekeluargaan sesama Islam.
Janji.
Janji. Berdua lebih baik.
Suka sama makin suka.
Welcome back. Onto the foreign front. Zionist warplanes hit Beirut's southern suburbs with a wave of airstrikes on Tuesday as Israel's cabinet met to discuss a ceasefire deal with its Hezbollah foes. It was reported that Zionist strikes smashed more of Beirut's densely populated southern suburbs, with the Zionist military saying one barrage of strikes had hit 20 targets in the city. The regime had also issued its biggest evacuation warning yet, telling civilians to leave 20 locations. In the meantime, Israel's Security Cabinet under Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have begun their meeting to discuss the ceasefire deal, which a senior Israeli official said was likely to be approved. The agreement requires Zionist troops to withdraw from South Lebanon and Lebanon's army to deploy in the region, also a Hezbollah stronghold, within 60 days. Earlier, Zionist forces have killed 11 Palestinians in 3 separate attacks across northern Gaza as heavy rainfall and rising tides worsen the conditions for war-displaced families sheltering in makeshift tents. It was reported that 6 people, including women and children, were killed in an airstrike on the Az-Zarqa area, while 3 others died in an attack on the Shati refugee camp in Gaza City. 2 more fatalities were also reported during Zionist shelling in Gaza's Zaytun neighborhood. Zionist military vehicles also opened fire towards northern and western parts of Rafah city in southern Gaza. In addition to the violence, severe weather has compounded the suffering of Palestinians, where heavy rainfall have flooded more than 10,000 makeshift shelters in Gaza, affecting thousands of displaced people. Chronology. The Philippines Vice President Sara Duterte on Tuesday has insisted that she has not schemed to kill the president, as investigators summoned her to testify. Speaking to the media, Duterte said her instruction to have her estranged ally President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. killed was a plan without flesh. The statement came shortly after investigators said they had summoned the official to appear before them. The country's Justice Department on Monday called the vice president the self-confessed mastermind of a plot to assassinate the president and issued a subpoena demanding her appearance at a formal inquiry. The move followed Duterte telling reporters she had ordered someone to kill Marcos, along with his wife and cousin, the parliament speaker, if any potential plot to assassinate her should be successful. At least 4 members of Pakistan's security forces were reported to have been killed as supporters of jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan forced their way into Islamabad on Tuesday. The government said the security service personnel were killed as thousands defied a police lockdown, overcoming blockades and tear gas to enter the city. Police, in the meantime, have arrested more than 4,000 Khan supporters since Friday and suspended mobile and internet services in some parts of the country. The march into Islamabad follows 2 days of clashes as protesters approach the capital. Supporters of Khan's Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf Party have been demanding the ex-PM's release ahead of a court hearing on terrorism charges. India's Coast Guard said on Tuesday they had seized their biggest haul of illicit drugs while they stopped a fishing boat smuggling 5,500 kilograms of methamphetamine from war-torn Myanmar. The discovery came after an Indian Coast Guard ICG reconnaissance air patrol spotted the Myanmar-flagged fishing boat So Wayan 2 in the Andaman Sea, which lies between India and troubled Myanmar, operating in a suspicious manner. A Coast Guard vessel was then sent out to investigate, with officers boarding at dawn Sunday, when the fishing boat with a crew of 6 Myanmar citizens entered Indian territorial waters. Upon inspection, the team uncovered the massive haul of methamphetamine. The trafficking of illicit drugs from Myanmar through the Andaman Sea has been on the rise as drug cartels try to evade land controls. Concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look at a university professor who created a mobile library to revive a reading culture in Mosul after most libraries were destroyed in the war against the Islamic State. With that, I'm Muhammed. Hamdan. Thanks for watching and stay safe.